Deep in the south of Thailand lives a contraband tree driven to the brink of extinction on the land where its medicinal use was first documented.
ครับเมื่อก่อนนี่แถวนี้จะเป็นป่ากระตอม
Why are you carrying a machine gun?
จากที่คุณร้ายอยู่ข้างในนี่เราก็ต้องว่างจะปลอดภัย
Despite booby traps, precarious boulders, and the cryptic warnings of poachers, I've come to find the tree where it grows in the wild.
Oh, shit.
Pretty good. It's definitely worth it. People are reacting to it very well because, you know, we show people that there are so many other things out there that are good for them rather than, you know, alcohol or other substances that aren't very good for your body.
Do you have any concerns about it being addictive?
So I believe that anything could be addictive if you overdo it.
But opioids specifically are so stigmatized and associated with addiction.
There's no overdose with kratom. If you overdose, pretty much what happens is you get sick, you vomit, like I said, a couple times, and then it's gone. So go ahead, try it out.
Kratom's indole alkaloids, metragenine and 7-hydroxymetragenine, bind to mu-opioid receptors in a manner similar to morphine. But their non-poppy source and reduced ability to depress respiration make them a different class of opioid analgesics. At low doses, users report a stimulant effect, and at high doses, a sedative effect.
I can feel it.
Really?
Yep. It's nice. It's a euphoric sensation.
Yeah.
It's surprising to me that this even exists. Or that it's existing in a bar type
setting,
yeah.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's always been this sort of nerdy thing, like one of many of these herbs that you can get on the internet. It struck me as just a thing that nerdy guys would do alone.
Well, no, that's just your perspective on it because that's what you are.
Since the mid-2000s, kratom has steadily gained popularity in the US. Its extracts and powders are sold in bars, head shops, and through online distributors.
Just wanted to see if you are interested in buying some kratom from us.
Has it already been sent down to the warehouse?
No, not yet, so we're gonna have to send it down.
Okay, cool, I'll make sure we send it down.
Yeah, it needs to go out ASAP.
Cool.
So here is just our packaging area. This is a typical, what a typical shipment would look like.
And what is this product?
So this is a kratom from Indonesia. This one's from Borneo.
So it's already a powder when you receive it.
The majority of the time it is. Every now and then we'll get some fresh leaf where we'll mill ourselves.
Wow. Wow. How many trees would it take to grow this much leaf?
One tree will produce about 20 kilos. It's estimated that 3 to 5 million people use this product daily, and that generates $250 million in revenue. And just the amount of product that's being imported is 80 tons per day.
80 tons per day coming from Indonesia?
From Indonesia, mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, it's incredible.
That's 16 million doses.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Kratom grows throughout Southeast Asia, but it's prohibited in Malaysia and Thailand. In countries such as Indonesia and Vietnam, where the plant is still legal, metric tons of powdered leaf are exported to the United States each day. But this may be short-lived, as the legal status of kratom in the United States remains precarious.
You know, we were on the brink of shutting our doors down. The DEA was about to schedule this in the same classification as heroin. That's significant. That's jail time.
In 2016, as the threat of emergency scheduling grew near, KRATOM advocates responded en masse, collecting 140,000 pro-KRATOM signatures and staging a rally in front of the White House.
Kratom saves lives! Kratom saves lives!
Due to the public backlash, the DEA withdrew its intent to schedule, an unprecedented reversal.
This is America! This is real! This is how you do it!
Like many psychoactive plants before it, KRATOM's fate rests in the judgment of lawmakers, and not the citizens who use it.
I want a dog.
She's very smart. She'll say Laura, but it's like Rora, and she'll go hello. Hello.
Wow, that's extraordinary.
So I was a dancer all my life, and then in my early 20s, I was in 2 bad car accidents within a month. That's when I started taking painkillers. I have degenerative disc disease and lupus and chronic pain since that whole thing. And so with the pills, I was like taking 6. The next thing you know, I'm like 8. Then I'm like 10. Whereas with KRATOM, I can just drink, 5 grams in the morning and then drink another, 3 at night.
So you genuinely believe this helps people?
I really do, yeah.
And if it were made illegal, which it very well may be in the near future, what are you going to do?
I'm either gonna have to buy it somewhere illegally, or else I'm gonna be back on taking painkillers. People think this is just as bad as heroin or painkillers.
Right.
Makes no sense. Nobody's died from this.
Did you ever try KRATOM in Thailand?
I haven't, but when I was in Thailand, I was seeing everybody chewing this leaf.
Interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing this.
Yeah. Are you going to Thailand?
Yeah, that's the plan.
2 flights, a tuk-tuk, and a party limo later, I arrive in Bangkok, one step closer to the last KRATOM forest in Thailand. This is a 185-year-old engraving that describes traditional use of KRATOM in Thailand as an anti-diarrheal drug, and probably also as a treatment for pain. So even though this is a plant that is relatively new to the United States, the history of its medicinal use outside of the United States and Asia dates back hundreds of years. KRATOM forests in Thailand. It's extremely treacherous and difficult to access this forest. This is an opportunity to try a variety of KRATOM that nobody in the United States has access to, and that's becoming increasingly rare, if not endangered, in the wild in Thailand due to these eradication efforts by the government and local communities that view the plant as something dangerous. This is a place I must try to find. If my entire crew has to go to prison or face the death penalty, that's a risk I'm willing to take. I have a very good lawyer, so I'm not in much danger. And that's really what's important to me.
Okay.
Young tourists flock to this tropical paradise for exotic beaches and sizzling nightlife. But it's the last remaining KRATOM forest that beckons me to southern Thailand. It's a long journey to to the region where kratom has gained a dubious association with Muslim insurgency and political unrest.
In the deep south of Thailand, there's political tension, yeah? So there's a lot of insurgency, or what the government calls insurgency. In the media, it's portrayed as if these young Muslim recruits of these insurgency cells are consuming illicit drugs. It's very unlikely that the issue of kratom and Muslim insurgency overlap. I think this is just a political power play in the media to provide the space for the government to get warrants to access premises that they might not normally have access to conduct searches. So there's a political dimension to the war on drugs that's been waged in Thailand for the past 15 years. The police have significantly stepped up these arrests for kratom users and seizures and demonstrating that as a success of their law enforcement strategy. But in reality, they are forced to cut down trees and arrest people who are essentially not really troublemakers or criminals. It's farmers who work in the rubber fields, people who do manual labor. It's not a war on drugs. It's a war on poor. It's a war on the unwanted people of society.
Thân tặng laiวันนี้ได้มาดูใครก็รู้ศิลปินนั่งตะลุงเคยรู้เรื่องได้สมรักใบร่องใบเจ้ากินข้าวเสร็จสมรักใบร่องใบวำตั้มให้เรานี่มันมีกำลังวังชากินใบกระตั้มแล้วมันมีแรงที่เด้งกลับมันมีแรงแดดร้อนเปลี่ยงไม่เหลียงจากอ่านหลงจากบ้านเข้าป่ายางตั้งจุดเสร็จ20 ไร่ไม่เหนื่อยโตไม่โกรธเกร็ดตั้งจนเสร็จเมียรักจังหูเลยว้าเล่นได้เก่งเราวะมันนี่เล่นดีวะ Thank you very much มันอยู่ปันนี้เลยหนูกินเพื่อจริงกินพอเป็นยาคือกินพอต้องควรที่แท้กินไปก็ต้องแค่เป็นยาอะไรกับน้องพร้อมกันอันบางคนมึงเห็นไหมบ้านเราอันบ้านกูยายกำบ้านกูเป็นเบาหวานมาไม่รู้กี่ปีไปโรงพยาบาลหมอกูไม่เห็นเบาหวานง่ายๆยายคำเป็นเบาหวานนั่นเลยครับทุกวันนี้เห็นไหมแกเดินดีเบาหวานลดแกกินใบต้มกับน้ำเจ้าใบยิงโอเค
Though kratom has been used for centuries, its pharmacological impact on opioid receptors has only been studied for 20 years.
So could you tell me about the chemical composition of kratom?
Kratom contains many types of the compounds, which alkaloid and terpenoid, a lot of tannins inside. It contains 2 types of alkaloids, the indo-alkaloid and indo-alkaloids. Methacillin is indo-alkaloid.
And that's a little bit uncommon. Usually these indole alkaloids are not opioids.
The methacillin is interesting because of it contains 2 parts, a hydrophobic part and hydrophilic part. The 3-dimensional structure is nearly close to the morphine structure, and then it can bind to the opioid receptor, but not every type of the opioid receptor. That's the reason why the methacillin has less potency comparison to the morphine. Yes.
And what about the conflicting reports about the activity of the plant? Some people will say that it's a sedative, other people will say that it's a stimulant. Do you think that that is based on just different subjective responses to the plant, or that there might be different chemicals that account for the stimulant or sedative effects, or that it's dose dependent?
People chew it 2 leaves, 3 leaves, they feel very active. It's like a stimulation effect. But if you consume very, very huge amount of the leaf, like 200 leaves per day, you will feel sedative. So it depends on the dose, right?
Put everything on.
The experiment today, we're going to record the electrical activity from the drains to the mouth. to examine how KRATOM acts on the brain.
Through his EEG studies on mice, Dr. Kumardsit hopes to understand how kratom and classical opiates differ in their impact on electrical activity in the brain.
So we choose two drugs. First is morphine, and here is KRATOM extract.
And can you tell me anything about the composition? What percentage mitragynine?
Okay. So in total alkaloid, I think it's around 60% mitragynine.
Oh, wow.
There are some specific region of the brain that is activated by addictive substance. This brain region is called nucleus accumbens. First, I will inject with morphine. Now let's put the animal in the recording chamber. Here we put the cable on animal's head. Okay. Now let's see the electrical activity from the brain. You can see channel 1. Here is nucleus accumbens.
What are the other 4 brain regions that you're measuring?
Here is hippocampus, and other is ventral tegmental areas, striatum, and frontal cortex.
And what was the dose of morphine that was just used?
15 milligram per kilogram, I think.
15 milligrams per kilogram?
Yes.
It's a high dose.
So you can see the action of morphine. It's hyperactive, right? It increases hyperlocomotor activity.
So morphine increases locomotor activity?
Yes, from our work.
Really? That's surprising.
Yes.
Yes.
I would have imagined that it would have a sedative effect.
That's what people say. But from the locomotor tracking, we can see that morphine increase movement. Okay, that's it for this one, I think. Next one is KRATOM.
Okay. And what is the dose that you use of the KRATOM extract?
The dose is 80 milligram per kilogram. Yes.
Oh. This is an amazing demonstration.
Dr. Daniel is going to show you the comparison between the effect of morphine and KRATOM.
Yes.
If they go the same way.
You can see the red one is morphine, blue one is control, and yellow one is KRATOM. Something happened in nucleus accumbens after receive morphine, but not in KRATOM. We can conclude that KRATOM might not have addictive properties.
Unlike morphine, kratom has no impact on the locomotor activity of mice, nor does it change electrical activity in the nucleus accumbens. These experiments suggest that kratom alkaloids have a reduced liability for dependence relative to classical opiates.
So if you were to give kratom or an extract to someone who is wearing this EEG, what do you think would happen?
Animal and human, it's the same thing. KRATOM increase alertness. It might increase monoamine or serotonin in the brain that can keep you awake and feeling fresh enough.
But people describe these contradictory effects. Some people say that it's a stimulant, other people say that it has sedative, morphine-type activity.
In people, it depends on your attitude. It depends on if you like it or you don't like it.
Why is it so hard to get approval when there's people all over Thailand that are chewing these leaves?
KRATOM has bad image. It's a big problem for Thai researchers. It should not be classified as an opiate, but nobody listened to me. They just listen to what they like to listen and believe what they want to believe. Nobody listened to the scientists.
เขาบอกว่าใบกระท่อมนี่มันผิดกฎหมายกินแล้วเจ้าหน้าที่ตำรวจเขาจับคือปันดีแน่นอนครับมันผิดกฎหมาย ให้โบที่มันเอาใบกระท่อมเนี่ยมันไปผสมคิดไม่ดีเพื่อคือเอาใบกระท่อมเนี่ยไปผสมกับยาเอาไปผสมกับโคกไปผสมกับน้ำแกง4 คูณ 100 4 คูณ 100แล้วมันไม่วิ่งในสนามกีฬาไม่ใช่ก็ได้เวลาแล้วเดินทาง
In the early 2000s, as the south of the country was mired in political unrest, Thai media began reporting on a new teenage obsession with a kratom cocktail called 4x100.
ตามเบาะแสถูกซื้อขายเพื่อไปเป็นส่วนผสมสารเสพติดที่ผู้เสพส่วนใหญ่ใช้เรียกชื่อว่า
One of the things that first made me interested in kratom in Thailand were these sensational reports of people consuming mosquito coils or fluorescent light bulb phosphor or powdered human remains.
Having the media pick up on the issue of kratom, especially the 4x100 of cocktail that the kids drink in the South, instills fear in the population that there's these crazy drug-addled teenagers around the corner ready to rape, pillage, and kill people. That has legitimized, scaling up the war on drugs from the government.
I have been told of a paradise beyond these seas, a land where kratom grows free, unencumbered by the wrongs of men. But paradise comes at a price. Teeming with violent gangs of kratom bandits, Satun province is menacing to both humans and herbs. And so I was escorted by government park rangers who protect one of Thailand's last kratom forests, armed with M16 assault rifles and the will to defend their native flora.
ครับเมื่อก่อนนี่แถวนี้จะเป็นปลากระต่อมต้นขนาดใหญ่ๆมากตอนนั้นแถวเขามีกลุ่มวัยรุ่นหรือกลุ่มคนเดียวเข้ามาโค่นเอาใบไปทำไมมันมัดไปพวกนี้ไป
Have you ever had to use your gun?
เคยใช่ครับเคยใช้ตอนเด็กคือจากการที่ผู้ร้ายเข้าไปอยู่ในพระกระท่อมเดี๋ยวคุ้มผู้ชาวบ้านข้าเป็นพ้นมาจากการตับปรามของผมกับเจ้าหน้าที่เขาก็เลยโคตรเคนดีมายิงครอบครัวผมทำให้สูญเสียลูกชายและก็ลูกสาวบาดเจ็บแต่ความคิดแต่การจะเครียดปืนกระต่อมนี้ไม่ก็ถือว่าไม่ได้รู้สึกโคตรเคนนะแต่ว่าโคตร